Hello friends and family and anyone who's randomly come across this video. It's been 6 months since I last made a video of the London journey, and needless to say, a lot has gone on in the last 6 months. So I guess we'll just start from the top. In September of last year, I submitted my dissertation for my master's program, and got pretty high marks on that, so that's really great. And just in general, wrapped up all of my master's program. From that paper, we've actually sort of made a joint effort on a different paper that uses all of the data but kind of discusses something different, because we have loads of data, which I'll get back to a bit later, but we have loads of data from that first study for my master's dissertation. And hopefully something can get published, so yay, I can have something with my name on it in publication. And then in December, I officially graduated, so I have a master's in sport and exercise science, so yay! So in addition to all of the certifications that I've already had and, 15 years of practical experience, I now have a master's. And then I guess that begs the question of what am I doing now? So if you know me personally or if you follow me on social media, you're probably pretty aware that I'm still in London, which is something that I felt I needed to do, was to be able to stay. And after exploring many, many options, I've decided to be pursuing a PhD. So I'm still in London. I've started a PhD, officially started in, I want to say, the program itself started in January technically, but I spent a good majority of the last 6 months chasing down the university for the application process, getting all of that sorted out, and then I had to sort out a visa, which also, with all of that, with the PhD and the visa, means that I have to sort out a whole lot of finances, because, as people know, school's expensive, and since I am an international student, it becomes a wee bit more pricey, but don't worry, as you guys know, I'm all about the hustle and the hard work, and and about time management, actually, because, before I was working, 60, 70, 80-hour work weeks, and so, it's still almost like a break to do a PhD. Not as near as much of a break as doing the master's program, but instead of doing sport and exercise science, I am getting a lot more specific, and it should come to no surprise that basically I will be studying weightlifting for my PhD. So back to what I mentioned before, my master's dissertation, we collected a tremendous amount of data, like 70 different variables on a whole lot of lifts. So I am using that data for my first study for my PhD, and so I'm comparing all of those variables from day to day and within day. So a little reliability study, and I use the term little, probably a bit, it's not little, quite large. So no big surprise that I am studying weightlifting. Maybe a big surprise that I'm doing a PhD. But I did not feel like it was time for me to come back to the US. And that's pretty much it. People ask what I want to do with a PhD, and the honest truth is I have no idea what I want to do with a PhD, but it can open a whole lot of doors. I could stick around in research. I could teach, at the university level. I've already co-authored educational courses before, so that's an option. I would just have a lot bigger of a brain, hopefully. My brain's either going to be bigger after all this or completely Swiss cheese and full of holes, and yeah. But thus far, I am actually enjoying the PhD because despite some massive procrastination, it is a lot of fun to kind of delve back into physics. And the last time I actually took a formal physics class was high school. So my physics class has been a little bit more on the practical sense, having been in weightlifting for so long. So, you know, force, velocity, acceleration, blah, 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 and having to define some very specific, very small variables within a lift. So it makes me wonder how on earth I ever did wrote papers without the opportunity to go to Google. Because yes, I did my undergraduate the good old-fashioned way, where you have to go look up the articles by hand, and referencing encyclopedias and stuff like that now, and instead you get to reference articles. And not that I would condone referencing Wikipedia, but if Wikipedia can lead me to something like an encyclopedia to reference some terms, definitely going to use that. But over the last 6 months, I have moved into a new flat. So I have a couple of flatmates, which is a lot of fun, and a little bit of a crash course in learning how to live with people again, because while I lived in a flat before, the only common area that we shared was really the kitchen. So that wasn't that bad. And everything else was just hiding in my room. And here, I share the kitchen, share a bathroom. So, it's learning to live with people a lot closer, but not that bad. I'm friendly, but sometimes introverted, so I'll still hide in my room as I'm doing at this moment. And as far as weightlifting as a sport goes, the most current development is that I am needing to take a step back. I have honestly been struggling with competitive lifting probably since Worlds, which is what I did back in August. I went to Barcelona with my teammates and awesome friends, really. They were great to travel with, but while my performance was adequate, it wasn't something I was particularly proud of. And by the time I got to that competition, I was ready for just a break, and then and I took one immediately. The day I got back from Barcelona, I took a week-long trip up to Scotland, where I went camping and canoeing across the Highlands, which was amazing. I think it was 90 kilometers, which is like 60-something odd miles. So I've canoed the entire length of Loch Ness, which is pretty epic. Might have spotted Nessie, not sure. But since then, trying to get back into competition and the mental mindset to train has been a big struggle for me. I signed up for a competition like October, ended up withdrawing. Wasn't training consistently, and then signed up for a competition in early December, did that one, didn't have any expectations, wasn't really looking forward to it, rocked up and had a consistent performance. I think I went 6 for 6, which, one of my teammates more recently, he's like, Ange, you're someone who can go to a meet, and even if you're not feeling great, you can pull out a 6 for 6 effort. But the thing is at this point, I can pull out a 6 for 6 effort with weights I have done before. So I can pull out the old lady strength and hit some lifts, but there's only so many times I can snatch the same and clean and jerk the same and not get frustrated at having, minimal improvement, or what I would refer to as negative improvement, where I actually lift a little bit less than the last meet. And I did that meet in December, came back, went to the US for a couple weeks, where training actually went really well while I was there. And I think it was because I wasn't working. Literally, only thing I was doing was hanging out with family and then going to the gym. The altitude there killed me, because it's it's quite quite a bit different in altitude from London to Wyoming. And then I came back in January and did the English Championship. I think that's what it's called. It was the English, whatever. And again, did okay, not great, quite frustrated. Took some time off. And by took some time off, I mean I just sort of, sometimes I would go in to do the lift and sometimes I wouldn't. So like in a week of having 4 scheduled training days, I would sometimes do only 2 or 3 instead of all 4, which if you really know me, if you've trained with me, sometimes I would do up to 5 training days pretty regularly, like it was nothing. Rarely skip anything. I could be sick as a dog and still be in there, to the point where someone had to like almost physically remove me from the gym. But did the English champ. Started skipping some workouts. Took some time, took a week or 2 doing that, and then felt like I finally got refocused, and then signed up for the British University and College championship, so Bucks, and told my coach that I was feeling like I could do it. And then leading into that competition, which was only a week and a half ago, leading into that competition, I was having to cut weight, which is not unheard of for me, but the fact that the weight class, I moved from a 69 kilo to the new class is a 71 kilo. Usually my body weight's around 70, but this time my body weight got all the way up to 73, which is the heaviest I have been since, I want to say, 2015. Before that, sometimes I was competing as a 75 kilo lifter, and then I had that hip injury that sidelined me for 2 years. So this is the heaviest I've been in a while. So the cut was going, but it wasn't, I don't know, it was kind of miserable. It wasn't going as well or as easily as I had hoped. And then a week out from the comp, my back twinged for whatever reason, and I couldn't put on my shoes without massive discomfort for about 2 days. So got some treatment, and then a few days before the comp, just took a hard look at things and decided that it wasn't a good idea for me to do the comp physically. So while I could go in, and do some subpar lifts, make some lifts, that I could also go in and try those subpar lifts and hurt myself worse again. And then just given the mental state regarding competitive lifting, going in to compete would be a very difficult thing for me. If I'm already sort of mentally tapped, because in addition to possibly physically just beating myself down further, the greater likelihood would be that I beat myself down mentally. And as that's been the struggle, decided it wasn't a good idea. So took the weekend off, didn't do much. And then over the weekend, more recently, I took a trip to see my best friend who happened to move to Luxembourg. And she gave me this awesome map that you see in the background, where I get to scratch off all of the places I've been in this world. Looking forward to scratching off as much of that as possible. So we'll see how that goes while doing a PhD and trying to find finances to do all of that. But more recently, I've just taken the opportunity, sort of some self-care, and having to reevaluate. And lifting has been a part of my life for a very, very, very long time. I have been strength training for 21 years and competing in Olympic style weightlifting for 15. So needless to say, I'm a little bit tired, and rightfully so. And I appreciate the hell out of everyone who's been giving me pep talks, oh, you can do this, just take a day or 2 off and you'll be fine. And I love the support and the unconditional, like, support and cheering and general motivation. But what I think a lot of people forget, and this is, and it makes sense to me if I look at it, but like, most people I know do lifting as their sport, but it's not their profession. And it's not like, so like my profession and my hobby, my sport of weightlifting, as well as my degree program is weightlifting. So like literally my life revolves around weightlifting. So everything in my life is about weightlifting. And I think after 15 years of coaching weightlifting, competing in weightlifting, teaching other people weightlifting, and now for the last 2 years, studying weightlifting, I think I have earned the right to be a little bit tired. So for the time being, I have to, and this is really hard for me because it's been a part of my life for so long, but it's really hard for me mentally, but in the interest of self-care, I have to take a few weeks to step back from weightlifting. I have to be okay with not lifting regularly or be on a program. I just need to go off program for a while, go rogue a little bit, and it's really hard. And then I also have to allow myself to be heavier than I like. And I know that will probably upset people because I get it that, like, compared to average people, I'm fine. I'm above average in terms of, height and weight and body fat percentage, whatever, like, but on a real level, like, it's hard for people who have been athletes for so long to see a significant change. Like when it's been your life for 15 years, it's different. So like for me to be 3 or 4 or 5 kilos heavier than I've normally ever really been is mentally challenging for me. And it sounds like first world problems. It sounds like skinny girl problems. Whatever. I don't know. You can call it what you want, but like I am also allowed to say that I'm struggling with the idea of allowing myself to be a little bit heavier and to not lift as often. Obviously it's get a little tear, because it is a challenge for me. But my friend, one of my good friends, posted about, you have to decide if you're going to be a farmer or a mechanic, if you are going to plant the seeds of good self-care, or if you're just going to have to become a mechanic to fix all of the disrepair that you've caused. And I think she made a fantastic point in talking about becoming a farmer or mechanic. Intellectually and educationally speaking, I'm a farmer, but at the moment, physically and mentally, I am having to become a mechanic because I'm having to put together some stuff I have to put back together some stuff that I've been allowing to fall into disrepair for the last 6 months. So thanks, Coach G. You don't know how timely that post was. So it's been quite a busy few 6 months. I do actually need to get back to doing some studying right over there, because despite not having a full-time job, I am not always the greatest at not procrastinating. But I felt like it was a time to update the London journey, for those like 3 people that still watch this. So basically I'm doing a PhD, and that needs to be my primary focus with a little bit of training here and there, just to keep myself fit and I use exercise as self-medication for some anxiety and some minor depression. So, that's how I keep that going. So PhD, my part-time job where I still work at the ballet school, which is really fun. Love those kids. And then a sprinkle of travel here and there, because that's pretty much why I wanted to stay in Europe. That's why I came here. That's a big part of why I came here to begin with. So can't stop now. So with that said, I have another 3 years in London, so you guys can come visit. I will be doing a PhD, which means that I will have access to all sorts of science. So if you have any questions, yeah, hit me up, let me know, because I'd be happy to answer them for you. Bye.